We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. And oh my gosh, my guest today, I love working with America's Got Talent. Thank you, AGT. It's great to have these fantastic contestants as they move all the way on to maybe winning. But this guest, it was very interesting. When I saw his background, I said, holy cow. I've seen him before in Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and I love The Illusionist. So I'm excited to welcome the program Colin-Cloud of NBC's America's Got Talent and The Illusionist. Colin, thanks for calling. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So tell me why America's Got Talent. I mean, The Illusionist is an amazing group of people. They are the most talented magicians, I believe, in the world. The way they perform all over the world, and they're so exciting. And I mean, why America's Got Talent? Tell me why you did that.
Well, I think obviously being a Brit myself, and having the good fortune of performing in Illusionist, which is already, as you said, a well-established show, is great. But I think America's Got Talent as a show over the last few years has been growing, in that it now does actually do a great job of raising the profile of excellent talent. And I think to just have that opportunity to raise my profile, so that when people come and see The Illusionist live, they already know who you are, what you do. They've already bought into that. So when you step up on stage, they're ready to just experience it like a real person. And I think the stuff I do is always much better live anyway, as much as I love doing it on this show. It's the sort of thing that when you're actually there and a part of it, it's always much more fun.
Well, I absolutely agree, Colin, and you'll build your brand. I mean, The Illusionist is a brand. If you win America's Got Talent, you will become the brand, and that may be one of the headliners of The Illusionist. Even though you're one of the headliners, it'll become like they're coming to see Colin. And then also you're looking at down the line, continuing to grow as a magician. So that's a key component,
and I love performing here in America. American audiences are always great fun. So I think, the fact that they know who I am and what I do, it just, it all works together perfectly.
Well, absolutely. So tell us this journey, going to America's Got Talent, going through the process, and going with the judges, because you're not used to being judged, right? You're getting judged by your peers with The Illusionists, the fans, and then your fellow magicians, but putting yourself on that stage, especially live at times, with those tough judges, how did you handle all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think performing live is what I've always done, so I'm used to that pressure aspect of it. When you're then aware 15 million people are watching you live as well, that adds, more excitement. But I've always felt the more people who are watching, the more actually I enjoy doing it. Obviously, the judges in the last few years have seen, a multitude of different talents, and the bar now is at an all-time high, especially this year in the competition with so many amazing people with amazing backgrounds, histories, stories. It's a tough year to be in the competition, but ultimately, I love getting on that stage and sharing with America exactly what it is I do, because now I'm the only magician, performer type person left in the competition. That in itself is quite daunting, given that this time last year there were many more. So it's, that's got pressure added to it as well. But the judges have been enjoying what I'm doing, as have the Americans. And, I'm excited to see what they think of tonight's performance.
You're carrying the banner, Colin. That's the key thing. You're carrying the banner for magicians right now, and I'm an Illusionist fan. So there you go. So there goes two things. You definitely turned me to that with the amazing talent that you work with every day. So what can you tell us? I'm sure the preparation for tonight, how exciting it is for this performance. You've been preparing big time, haven't you, for it? To wow the judges.
Because the show is in Hollywood, I'm very closely connected with the Hollywood Magic Castle, which is the sort of home for magic, I would say, around the world. And I spoke to them last week, and they very kindly allowed me to be a surprise guest in their main show this week, testing some of the material that I'm going to be doing tonight. So, the stuff I do, I can't really, singers can practice singing, dancers can, stand in front of a mirror and spend hours refining that. But with what I do, because it relies on people and engaging people, the only way I could rehearse was actually to get out there and do this with real people. Otherwise, it would be leaving it all to the evening of the show. So all week I've been in there testing, refining, tweaking, and obviously on the show you only get a certain amount of time of the stuff I do. With it being slightly more cerebral, sometimes it takes slightly longer. So that in itself has been quite a challenge, to cut it down to the the allotted time slot to make sure that it still makes sense, that it's concise, focused, but doesn't lose any of the entertainment. So, yeah, a good solid challenge. But thankfully, I have that resource of the Magic Castle there to go and actually practice.
That's great for you, for sure, and some of the other contestants might not have that. And about going live in this process, that's daunting, because I think this is new to America's Got Talent, going in live instead of taping it, and then people kind of say, oh, we know what happened, or something gets leaked. Nothing's leaked. It's tonight. It's big time, and all the it's 100% live. Yeah, I mean, we're currently all in our dressing rooms at the moment, getting prepared, doing all of that hair and makeup stuff that needs to happen, and then we do the dress rehearsal, but the judges are nowhere near the stage at that point. The dress rehearsal is literally for the camera guys to see where we're going to be standing, what we're going to be doing, so they get a feel for it to make sure they capture all the key moments tonight when the judges and the audience are in. So it's basically standing in an empty theater with the the crew rather, and we go through it, and then that's pretty much it. We wait until tonight, 6 p.m. LA time, so that's 8 p.m. Eastern time, and it really is live. So at that point, anything could happen. So kind of take the journey of who's left, Colin. Not the names, but the number of contestants left, because some people, have watched America's Got Talent. The summer gets to you, right? We're now finally in the fall, and people want to catch you.
This is a semi-final, the last semi-final. So essentially 5 acts have already now made it to the live final. And tonight, of the 12 acts performing, 5 will go through. So this is the toughest part of the competition. So tonight, I'm the only act in the show who is speaking and doing any sort of, I'm doing the mind reading stuff, magic stuff, whatever you want to call it. But the other acts are all singers and dancers this evening, but they are singers and dancers, at the height of their talent. So it is tough competition. Already making it through, there's a comedian. There's a girl called Sarah who does an act with dogs, that I'm sure you've seen.
Yes.
Chase, the singer-songwriter, he's through. Darcy, the ventriloquist, all already through, and Evie Claire as well, the young singer who is phenomenal. So those 5 are through to the final, and then tonight the final 5 will get picked, and that will be the 10 that are in the live show. Live final next Tuesday.
Do you think there's a lot of camaraderie with the contestants, especially because you've spent so much time together? This is the first time ever they've kind of put this group and made it a huge field. It's almost like more than March Madness, where there's so many cut downs. Before it was like less, and now, but you're getting to know these contestants. You're seeing them all the time go through, and you're cheering for them because not everyone's going to be eliminated. Do you feel a lot of friendships have developed through this process you've gone through?
Oh, very much so. I mean, there are a few big groups, like the dance groups are bigger, so they obviously know each other already. But then when you're a solo act, so myself, Sarah, Chase, I'd say have gotten pretty close through this process. A lot of the acts are, 8 years old, so then you'll see them in passing, but you get to know the parents really well, and the kids are always playing, so it is good fun. And but backstage, everyone's really positive, and the fact that really every act, as much as I'm saying the singers and dancers, every act is so unique and so different that as much as it is a competition show, you can't really compete against people who do something drastically different to what you do. So as much as we know that is the point of the show, it's like, well, it's now up to America to decide whether or not they love what you do, and it's really over to them. So as much as we all want to do well, and we're all very supportive of each other, I think that you kind of forget at times that it's a competition because, we all get along perfectly.
All right, well, fantastic. And that's what I love about America's Got Talent, the stories and all the major things. People need to tune in tonight. You were saying 6 p.m. In LA, so it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern. The live show,
oh, wow.
America's Got Talent. That's Pittsburgh's 3 hours. Everyone tune in. We're going to be. Everyone needs to check it out. Let's cheer for Colin, and especially if you're an illusionist fan, let's see him move on to the finals. And where's the best place we can find information on you, Colin? Where can we check you out?
Oh, if you type in colin-cloud on any internet search engine, I am sure you'll get the first thing on my website, and you can find out all about me and what I do with clips and stuff of what I've been up to on there. So just type in colin-cloud.com and you'll find everything.
Well, it's amazing to get to talk to you. It's like almost like the Super Bowl in the locker room the night of the show. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Best of luck. We'll be rooting for you, and let's see you bring home the win. All right, take care.
Take care, Neil. Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're listening to The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to The Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm so excited to welcome the program Chris-Hansen from Crime Watch Daily. Chris, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing fantastic. Chris, did you ever think when you became an investigative journalist, you would be able to help so many people? I really commend you for some of the stuff you've done with child predators and your other investigative journalism. When you first started in this, did you think that you could make such a difference?
Well, when I first started, I just hoped that I'd get to, work at Channel 7 Action News in Detroit, and that'd be the pinnacle of my career, which is a fine place to work, and I'd be happy doing it. But no, I had a lot of lucky breaks and been able to get to this point, and I think Crime Watch Daily is a perfect show for me. It's tailor-made for me. We get to go out and do all kinds of different investigations, explore crimes, get in the mind of criminals, and hear the voice of victims. And I think by doing that, we can prevent a lot of other people from becoming victims, whether it's of child predators or killers or con men or whatever's going on. And being on an hour a day, 5 days a week allows us the opportunity to have a really long leash to get into some of these cases.
And you're right. When you think about getting in the mind of a criminal, it's so important to understand those things, especially yourself and the show, but also your viewers, because you never know what that criminal's thinking. So you always have to be on the lookout for those situations where people are going to really take advantage of you.
Exactly. And so, we have a great team here. And, beyond in 208 markets across the country, we have 208 newsrooms which are feeding us information and supporting us. So it's like having our own news network in some ways, but also, having people like Elizabeth Smart as a special correspondent on the show. And, there's a case coming up, that of Daisy Coleman, a young woman who was sexually assaulted, claims to have been sexually assaulted by a guy who sort of got away with it. And when she does these interviews with these people, they relate to her. She's got a level of compassion that other victims can relate to. And imagine, what she went through and how most people would have crawled up in a ball and hidden someplace or become a drug addict, And she is, an amazing human being, and folks just open up to her, and she's become a darn-fine, correspondent in her own right.
That's great to have someone on board like that has gone through what she's gone through and be able to talk to people and understand and feel their pain when talking to victims.
Well, exactly right. And, we do, the Hansen versus Predator segments, which, we'll have more of this season. And, we've got some new franchises, one called Badge of Honor, where we recognize cops around the country who've gone above and beyond the call of duty. And in our first episode, we will take a look at the case of two New York City police officers who were on duty in Times Square. And the height of activity, people coming out of theaters, people going into restaurants and bars, people just milling about. And that guy drives up and throws into their police van. And we actually have the surveillance video of this. What appears to be a bomb. Lights are flashing, it's ticking, and the guys could have ditched the van and run away. They could have done a lot of things. But what they did was booted it and got it away, the van away from the population center. And they thought they would die within a matter of seconds, but they were going to do the best they could to get this bomb, what they thought was a bomb, out of Times Square. And when you take a look at that and you explore the relationship between the two cops, a sergeant who grew up in Afghanistan, whose experience with cops there growing up was involved in corruption, and his vow to become a New York City cop and because he was going to do it the right way. And he's in a van with, a 25, 26-year-old kid from Long Island. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. And we have the time to explore that. And no one else is doing that right now, by the way.
And and what do you say has been the success of the show? Is that fact of really investigating these things and not being afraid to touch certain topics that sometimes the mainstream media won't want to cover, right? In certain ways, it sounds like, Chris, and the goal of yours.
Well, we're devoted. Yeah, right. We're devoted to crime and law enforcement, and so we can take on these cases, and we also have an hour a day to focus on one topic should we choose to do so. I mean, this isn't just we don't do 2-minute stories, and we do major takeouts on very important cases across the country, and we also get to do passion projects. Last season I wanted to dig into the the heroin epidemic across the country, and we did that and devoted an entire hour to it, and not just busting heroin dealers or talking to addicts, but to take a look at what it takes to run a successful recovery operation. And we looked at human trafficking, and we're on sting operations to expose the traffickers. And so, to do that and to have the impact we've had has really been a great opportunity.
I agree. And that's what I talked about, the good you're doing, because covering these stories, telling people about this, I never imagined this could happen, will make the victims, before they become victims, look and say, oh, I better be careful. Because the decisions, think about, in the news today, just kids and especially teenagers and young adults that are making these poor decisions that are ruining their lives in so many ways. And parents have no idea how to talk to them, to tell them, don't post that on social media. Don't get in conversations with people you don't know. And all these things that you've highlighted since you've been an investigative journalist, now, guess what? You're waking up in a longer segment and understand this to say, be careful. It's a scary world out there, right?
Look, at the end of the day, I think what we do is, raise awareness and in some cases create a dialogue that didn't exist before. And I think that helps people. And I also think that the way we produce these segments, whether it's Crime Watch Daily or whether, it's my other show on investigation, Discovery, Kill Instinct, we take people inside these cases. They see things they wouldn't normally see. They hear things they wouldn't normally hear. And we get to get into detail about them.
Well, awesome. Fantastic. And so everyone needs to check you out. Where's the best place we can check you out, Chris, and stuff? Every day, check your local TV listings.
Every day. Yeah. And if or you can very simply go to crimewatchdaily.com, and there's a place right near the top of the website where you can put in your zip code, and it'll tell you exactly where and when we're on. But we're on in every TV market across the country.
And you like how you're walking around, Chris, and people have watched it at different times. That's nice that you're on every market in the country because you never know when it's going to air and who you're going to be able to touch. And then people just go to the website and they can check all that stuff out as well. And the terrible thing that we have to look out for is, you said, these pedophiles. You recommend parents really stay in tune to their computers, their cell phones, and all those things, right, Chris? Just to make sure they're monitoring these kids because their brains.
Well, imagine when we started doing those. When we started doing those investigations, we really had decoys and chat rooms on AOL and Yahoo. Well, today there's been an explosion in the number of social platforms, and so what I say to parents today is that the cell phone at the end of the day should go on the family charging station in the kitchen and not on the nightstand, and you eliminate half the problem right there. Absolutely,
because a lot of the dangers happen at night, right? When the predators are on, and they're just knowing that
it's just constant. It's constant access. You need to turn it off at some point.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, Chris. Best of luck and continued success in all your shows. Okay. Thanks for calling.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Chris. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See ya. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program celebrity chef Jacques-Pepin. Jacques, thanks for calling. How are you? How are you doing, Chef?
Okay, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Chef. You must be just absolutely amazed when you started doing TV a long time ago and to see how popular cooking shows are in America now. I mean, it's just unbelievable how it's grown, hasn't it?
Oh boy, that's just amazing, yes. And I mean, I've been in the kitchen almost 70 years now. So I tell you, when I came to America, which was over 50 years ago, the food world was very, very small. I mean, 1960, I met Julia Child and James Beard and Craig Claiborne just started at the New York Times. And these were the trinity of cooking in America. And frankly, it was another world altogether. The food world was very, very small, so very different now. Now we are genius. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's amazing with the cable news and cable shows and all the different things and the cookbooks, especially how many you've authored and had such great success. You probably didn't imagine that when you came to the United States, for sure. Your success, but also the success of people teaching other people how to cook.
Yeah, the whole thing changed. I mean, it used to be that a good mother wanted her child to marry a lawyer or an architect or a doctor, certainly not a cook, But we were very, very low on the social scale. But all of that has changed now, so I'm very lucky.
So this book is exciting for you in Grandfather's Lessons because, again, you get to work with your granddaughter. So tell us, specifically how excited you are about Grandfather's Lessons, and it's coming out now. So tell us about the book.
Well, I have 30 books, and I did 13 series of 26 shows with KQED, the PBS station in San Francisco, and I did several series with my daughter, Claudine, when she was still in college, and so kind of a tradition in our family. So now I decided to do it with my granddaughter, who is 13 years old, and to have a means of communicating with her. I mean, how do you speak with a teenage now? It's a different world, So, but at least in the kitchen and cooking together, I take her to the garden, show her the different herbs and vegetables. We went foraging together. We go pick up eggs just behind the chicken. So, it's a way of, as I say, of being together, of communicating. And when you speak, then you speak about other things, about school and so forth. So it's not only cooking together, but it's certainly eating together, spending time around the table and talking too. And I even show her there how to set up the table properly, how to behave properly at the table. So we had fun doing it together.
And that's got to be great. I mean, to work with your granddaughter, teach her those lessons. Now, did she understand cooking when you started working with her at first? Or was it really a teaching process? You said especially communicating with this generation compared to your daughter's generation. Was it different in certain ways? Give us some a little bit of how you kind of communicate with her to teach her your expertise and stuff.
Well, you have to realize that my daughter does a lot of cooking too, and then her father happened to be a chef as well. So the whole family. Wow. So since she was a kid, she was involved in cooking one way or the other. I remember one time she was 2 years old. At that point they live in Colorado Springs, and I was there, and I took her out for breakfast in a little restaurant. And I said, "What do you want?" So she wanted some blueberry with pancake, whatever. And I said, "Oh, you like blueberry?" She said, "Yeah, they have a lot of antioxidants." I said, "A lot of what?" I mean, she's 2 years old. So, yes, she was. So she's been involved in the kitchen as well to a certain extent, But it's different cooking with me because we have fun together.
For sure. So tell us some of the recipes and things that we should expect with your granddaughter and grandfather's lessons. What should we expect?
Well, there is about 80 recipes in the book, but there is about close to 40 of them. Under the recipe, you see a sign. If you want to know how to do it, go to What's Your Laptop and so forth. So we did about 40 tapes of those recipes demonstrating how to do it. So that's fun too for doing a little cake or a certain way of doing a fish. Because, I mean, some are fun recipes, but some of them are pretty serious. I mean, I'm not looking down. I made meringue. I made a lot of different little things in chocolate because she loves dessert. I show her a whole series of doing, doing decoration, like with, making a rose with the skin of a tomato and things like that. But, you see a strawberry shortcake. She has her hand in it. She does it under my direction. Likewise, when we did meringue. So it was kind of lesson taken back, and I wanted to understand the cooking, to feel comfortable with her, and certain recipe so that she could do it for her mother, or her father, or for me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, for sure. And then once you see it, how she developed since you did the cookbook together, would you say is she on her way to continue the family lineage of cooking?
Well, no, she's 13 years old, so she's interested in a lot of other things in life. I don't really think she's going to become a chef.
Really?
I mean, one day she wants to be an engineer, another day she wants to be a doctor, so I don't know what she's going to do, but all I know is that those memories that we had of cooking together, those memories of doing menus together and having fun in the kitchen, hopefully that will stay with her the rest of her life, and it's a kind of legacy,
No, most definitely, Chef. Think about the opportunity to remember this of working with your grandfather, the famous chef, and and your memories with your granddaughter. That's fantastic. So, where can people pick up the book? Where's the best place, Chef, we can pick up the book? Where can we go?
Well, the book is coming out tomorrow, actually, so it's going to be available in most bookstore. But we did it also for Sur la Table. Because I'm doing a series of different decorative spoon, fork, mug, plate, platter with Sur la Table with the decoration of my drawing, chicken, and so forth. So Sur la Table is going to, on their website, you will be able to see those DVD that we've done with Shari, which are in the book.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. Everyone needs to check you out. Best of luck, Chef. You keep going. How many books do you think you're going to write in your career? Going to keep going after this, or are you already working on another one? Is that
I don't know. This is like number 31 or 32, so
you keep going.
But as long as I'm hungry, I'm cooking.
You love cooking, and you're living your passion, and that's fantastic. So thanks again for calling, Chef, and best of luck.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, see ya. You're welcome. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm excited to welcome the program. We all know her from Legends and Fall and many other projects, Julia-Ormond. Julia, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're really excited about this latest project, and always interesting things when we talk about REMEMORY, and you're with Peter Dinklage in this too. So it's a great cast of characters in this film, right? Tell us about it.
It was really good fun. It was a very interesting piece. It's a film that's about a piece of technology that is invented that can take you back into the accurate events that are your memory. The inventor of the machine dies mysteriously, and Peter's character helps my character, who's the widow, work out what has happened.
And that's an interesting thing. If we can go back, right? If we could decide, we could go back in time and look at things and remember things that we forget, because we forget so many things, Julia, in our lives, that we can go back to a specific point in a specific time period and say, when would we want to go back? When would you want to go back, Julia? To what time in your life to remember something that you might have forgotten?
I think I came away from the whole experience of the story instead of feeling, no, I don't think it's a good idea to go back. There was part of it that the machine could become very addictive, that you could become locked in time, going back to one sort of happy memory, and that dilutes every other memory. that it could maybe serve certain purposes in terms of other people looking at your memory, but it kind of left you with a lot of respect for the human processing of events, but at the same time, it also kind of really brought home the fact that what we are going through as humans isn't necessarily accurate, and even if you do go back to accurate memory, you don't necessarily get full truth.
And tell us about your character. You were talking a little bit about it, but a little bit more of how you prepare for this character.
Well, she's a mom, and they, as a couple, you find out pretty quickly in the story. It's always kind of a little bit weird. It's like, what do I talk about? What do I not? They've lost their daughter, and so as a couple, they've gone through the grief of having lost a child, which I think must be the most awful and extraordinarily painful thing that couples can go through. And when you first encounter her, she's not particularly anchored. I get the sense that it's very much Gordon's life that they lead. He's the husband, and she has her work life and stuff that she does with animals and horses, but she's pretty isolated, and she withdraws in grief, and so the Peter's character comes in and helps her process it. But I think it's not just about the fact that he comes through the machine, it's also about him coming as a person into her life.
And for sure, and thinking about the machine, Julia, and as you said, you don't want to go back. I don't know. I would kind of want to go back, but you're telling me after this film, we see this film, you wouldn't want to use this machine then?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to have their own response to it. I think what I felt was that that the experience is pretty intense. I mean, there's a danger in having the experience be so intense. I'm sure there is something though for her that she gets a moment that I think is provided by the machine that is actually really healing. So maybe I shouldn't say I wouldn't go back. I think for her it's good, but I think she also feels it's dangerous.
Yeah, and that dangerous part is especially when you reveal things that maybe you'll be thinking more about the past, Julia, than you were, and it can cause a lot of problems later on for sure. And yeah definitely. The film will be released by Google Play on August. It already was released on Google Play August 24th, and in theaters on September 8th. So, where's the best place we can find information on you, Julia, and stuff? Where's the best place we can go?
Me?
Yeah, on you.
Well, I don't really know. I spend most of my time working on my nonprofit asset campaign. So that's where I would direct people to asset campaign, which is we do work to abolish forced labor in supply chains and encourage companies to clean up supply chain practices and work conditions all over the world.
All right. Well, Julia, thanks for calling. Best of luck. And definitely, this seems very interesting. People need to definitely check it out. And I want to use the machine to go back and remember things I've forgotten. So that would be pretty interesting. So everyone needs to check that out. And thanks again for calling, Julia.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. You're listening to Neil Haley's show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program New York Times best-selling author of Maverick and Me, Katherine Schwarzenegger. Katherine, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, Katherine, growing up in such a high-profile family, I'm sure that was a challenge, but also you learned so much in that journey, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like I had a very normal upbringing and normal childhood, so I don't really look at, my experience and feel like it was crazy different than most kids growing up. But it definitely taught me a lot about, following my passion and doing what I love. And that's really what I think I've done with this book, Maverick and Me, is, finding that I'm passionate in animal rescue and wanting to write a book for children to create awareness around that was really important to me.
Very, very, very true. So tell us about your personal story that led to the creation of this picture book.
So I have always been a huge animal lover, and I started fostering puppies several years ago. And my last foster dog was Maverick, and I got him at 2 weeks old. And I saw the way kids reacted to him and the fact that you could get a dog that came with a story like his. He was found under a freeway, and little kids thought that was so cool that you could get a dog that came from under a freeway. So I wanted to just teach kids all about the option of animal rescue and dog adoption. So when the time comes for them to get their first dog, they might tell their parents to take them to a shelter instead of a pet store.
See, that's great, because what I see, Catherine, is that going to these places and rescuing these dogs, what would happen to them if you didn't go, if people don't go and adopt? It's sad stories for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of sad stories, of course, that, where dogs have to be put down if they're not rescued just due to overcrowding in shelters. But a lot of shelters are really amazing because they are no-kill shelters. So, sometimes dogs will wait several years to get adopted, and that's where a lot of amazing foster work comes into play because, people take dogs in, whether they're puppies or they're, 5-year-old dogs or senior dogs. So there are a lot of amazing people doing great work to keep the animals happy.
How does your faith play a part in the work that you do in caring for all of God's creation?
I think I just was raised, obviously, as a Catholic, and to be able to, care for all God's creatures, whether that's people or animals. And so I just grew up feeling very connected to not only people, but also to animals of all different kinds. So, when I was made aware of fostering and animal rescue, I just became very passionate about it and trying to be a voice for the voiceless, because I don't think a lot of people take into consideration all the incredible animals that are available for adoption, and just being made aware of them, I think, hopefully will help a lot of the animals in need.
In your book, you encourage readers to take part in the cause, even if they can't. What are ways that adults and kids can get involved if adoption isn't an option?
Yeah, I think a lot of, I'm very aware that a lot of people aren't in a position to adopt a dog currently, but still want to help. So I wrote a letter at the beginning of my book just telling people that if you can't adopt, there are different ways that, you can help animals, whether that's volunteering your time, giving, different supplies. A lot of places need animal supplies and dog food, and of course donations, but also fostering. So if you have the ability to foster animals and take them out of shelters and be able to take them in your home temporarily, that opens up space in shelters for more dogs to be able to come in and be given a second chance at not only life but love.
Again, this is a picture book. This is new for you, definitely. And ultimately, your hope is kids walk away after reading Maverick and Me. What do you hope for? And I guess also it being your first venture in a picture book.
Yeah, this is my third book, my first children's book that's, a picture book. So it's a different experience, but a really awesome one so far. So my overall goal with this book is to have, kids read the book and get really excited about animal rescue and dog adoption, and, to be able to go and tell their friends, and hopefully, when they decide to get a pet next, that they choose to, go to a shelter or be able to rescue a dog or a cat, whatever animal it is, and just, again, spread awareness about the issue.
How excited are you to go and read the book to children at different places all over the country and stuff? Is that exciting for you to do this?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting for me to be able to, read something to kids that I've worked really hard on and that I'm, again, really passionate about. So that's really exciting for me. And I've always not only loved animals, but loved children. And so for me, it's a great combination of, things that I love and things that I'm passionate about. So I'm excited.
Where's the best place we can purchase the book and learn more about you, Catherine? Where's the best place we can go?
So on Tuesday, my book officially came out, so it's in bookstores everywhere now. You can also order it online on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
All right, excellent. And can we follow you on social media places too as well, Catherine?
Yes, you can. You can follow me on, I have Instagram, Twitter, all of the different forms of social media I am up to speed on.
All right. Well, thanks again for calling, Catherine. Best of luck with the book, and you have a passion for animals, and keep bringing that message out to the world. So thanks again for calling.
Thank you.
Take care, Catherine. See ya. All right. Bye-bye. You're listening to Neil.
You will now be disconnected.
We'll be back in just a moment.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show. On the Total Celebrity segment, I'm excited to welcome the program from E! News correspondent Ken Baker, author of The Ken Commandments, My Search for God in Hollywood. Ken, thanks for calling. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
You know what, Ken, let's kind of go right into this, the gist of things first about how you became a journalist. You said you've been covering celebrity stuff for about 20 years. How did it start for you, Ken?
Well, out of grad school, I got my master's in journalism. I was doing newspapers at the time, and just on a lark, ended up coming out to Hollywood in the mid-'90s. Got a gig at People magazine as a correspondent, and that sort of set my career off into a trajectory as an entertainment celebrity journalist. After a stop at Us Weekly, I then been at E! News for about 11 years, and it's been a pretty awesome experience. Obviously, there's never a dull moment, and managed to write a few books along the way and stitch together a career.
It's very interesting, Ken, when you talk about a journalist and the experiences. I feel when I always interview celebrities, I learn so much, or anyone I get to interview. It's a great gig to get to talk to people because you learn so much about them. And especially in the celebrity world where you might think this celebrity's a jerk or this celebrity really isn't cool or, I don't want to talk to. And then once you get to finally sit down and talk with them, you really learn a lot more about who they are, don't you?
Well, for the most part. I mean, look, there are, like any people or any subjects you're going to interview, some people are just bad interviews.
Yes.
They don't want to give you anything, or they can be hostile, or, have a bad attitude, they're having a bad day, and that certainly happens. But, I got into journalism because I'm interested in people. I'm interested in what makes them tick. I think that celebrities, they're usually a celebrity for a reason. They've been able to accomplish something that got people's attention, and that usually means there's something compelling about them as a personality. And it's always interesting to kind of scratch below the surface and find out more about them. And I've enjoyed it, and certainly there's always a few rotten apples in the bunch.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure.
For the most part, it has been a good experience, I have to say.
And then think about it, Ken, when I kind of was talking about, think about the specific thing. Even if they're a jerk, you learn something new every time you talk to someone. And that really kind of changes your life in so many ways in a repertoire to say, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. Or really, this really happened. It's just intriguing, I think, when I get to talk to people.
Yeah, and when I went on this, spiritual journey here in Hollywood, and look, I've been doing this for 20 years, I have to admit, I hadn't really been participating in what I would call spiritual pursuits in Hollywood. I was participating in secular pursuits, going to parties, going to events, going to work, being on TV every day, pretty much just into your run-of-the-mill kind of Hollywood experience that we sort of know as Hollywood. And, I really, now, after working on the 10 Commandments and writing this book and everything, I really feel as though my perspective of celebrity has changed a lot. And, I've always had a good feel for celebrity and had good rapport with celebrities. But, being able to worship with them, to go to their places of worship, to learn meditation with them, to, see their psychics and kind of get into their shoes and understand this whole spiritual kind of renaissance that's happening in Hollywood right now that is illuminated in my book has been really fascinating for me, because I realized, whoa, this has been going on right in front of me. Yeah. And I was completely closed off to it, and it's had a lot of benefits for me personally.
And that's when I talk about, you get to learn so much. And this spiritual journey, so Ken, it changed you. So before we get into kind of the journey I guess of talking to these, learning from these certain celebrities and how their faith journey in specific pursuit for God, how about yourself? That's changed, right, Ken? If you're kind of talking about, you learned, but it really changed you as well, and from these experiences.
Yeah, and to be totally honest with you, I mean, the book is sort of part memoir, part reportage of me on this journalistic inquiry to see and experience what is going on in Hollywood right now. In today, a snapshot of all the spiritual pursuits. But at the core of it was my desire to, 20 years into a career in Hollywood, to see if I could use Hollywood as my laboratory, my spiritual laboratory, to figure out what I believed, and if I could find some sense of spiritual belief, the foundation, because even though I was raised Catholic and I always had sort of a sense of God and I had right and wrong, and I had that background as a kid growing up in Buffalo, New York, I couldn't remember the last time I had prayed. Wow. And then I had a friend of mine who, and I tell the story in the book, Lamar Odom was in the hospital.
Oh yeah,
and he had gotten into a coma. You might remember.
Yeah, I remember
that.
Yes.
And the story that I tell in the Ten Commandments is like, I was talking to a Kardashian family member, and I said, "Look, is there anything I can do? I feel like I want to help out." And I was in Vegas covering this, and
oh wow,
I literally meant, "I'll go and get sandwiches. I'll get you my coffee.
Okay.
What can I do?" And this family member said, "Can you pray for Lamar?"
Oh my!
And I hadn't really prayed in a long time. I, really wasn't that person anymore. And I was like, okay, I don't think it's going to do anything, but I'll pray. So I prayed, and 2 days later, he gets out of the coma. And
yeah,
I'm not saying it was because I prayed or didn't pray, but I'm driving back to Los Angeles, and I'm wondering to myself, well, I can't say it mattered that I prayed, but I can't say it didn't matter.
Right.
The truth is, I have no idea. And it bothered me that I didn't really know myself spiritually to have an idea. And I want to have some sense of, well, what do I believe? And do I pray anymore? And who am I praying to? And is there a God?
Wow.
And I became determined to basically find my sense of God, rediscover it in the very place I had lost it, which was Hollywood. And that's the whole story that I tell in the book.
And then through that pursuit, you'd run into different celebrities and their faith journey and what they believe, and look at a lot of different faiths.
Yeah.
Right? That's the great thing about this book, Ken, is you're not. Right.
A lot of people opened. Yeah, a lot of people opened up to me. Sorry to interrupt. A lot of people opened up to me, let me inside their very private world. I went to Bible study with Gwen Stefani. I have a whole chapter on that. I went to Scientology. I felt obligated to check it out because, here's the thing. I just decided that I couldn't have a closed mind. I needed to have an open mind. I couldn't have a closed heart. I had to have an open heart because I really wanted to be open to any sort of answers. And, what I really found is that, now, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I don't become a Scientologist. But the chapter is a very interesting one, and at least after spending some time at the Scientology Center, I can give my own informed opinion from my own experience. And that was the whole idea, is that I really wanted to give things a fair shake that I had been closed off to. And some really beautiful things happen when you open yourself up and you just have, you want to come at things just from wanting to find truth. What I've sort of realized, and maybe it's because I'm a journalist or whatnot, but to me, God is truth. And, if you seek answers, you ask questions, you'll get answers, and therein lies everything that you need to know. And sometimes it's just asking questions. I spent a year asking those questions, and it really took, trying a lot of different things to figure out what I believe, and that meant going to Brad Pitt and Angelina's psychic and not being quite sure what she was talking about to, having some very spiritually moving moments, learning meditation and studying spirituality with Deepak Chopra, Oprah's guy. And that being a very transformative experience for me. So, and also rediscovering the Bible and what that can mean in my life through going to Bible study. So, it's been a tremendous thing. I still am on a journey. But I definitely made some. I just hope that people who read the Ten Commandments will be like, I'm going to do my own version of, the Mark commandments or the Jill commandments.
Yes, great.
Whatever.
Yes.
I think it's never a bad time to go on your own spirit quest, to really redefine your faith, figure out what you believe. I think it provides a foundation for all of us, and I really do think that we all, inside of ourselves, even if we call ourselves an atheist, and I do talk to celebrity atheists in the book.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Even if we're an atheist, we have spiritual
components.
feelings.
Yes, true.
We are spiritual beings. And I really encourage everyone to go on their own search for God. And I was very lucky to be able to do it in this book and to share it with people. And I happen to live in Hollywood, so that's where I did it. But if you live in Pittsburgh, or you live in Ashtabula, or you live in Buffalo, it doesn't matter. You can still find your own truth and seek it out.
Yes, so the Ken Commandments is available in all finer bookstores. Ken, where's the best place we can find information on you as well? It's available on Amazon and all those places, but where's the best place we can find you?
Yeah, you can go to Amazon, obviously, to the book, but you can learn more about me and my book and other books I've written at kenbakernow.com. I'm on social media everywhere at Ken Baker Now. I'm on it maybe too much, so you can definitely reach out to
You
me.
have to be, right?
But, yeah, exactly. But anyway, you can go to kenbakernow.com and learn more about me and my journey. And I hope people really enjoy the 10 Commandments. And like I said, it's not just about me and my story, which the more I talk about it, I find it's very relatable. A lot of people do relate to that sense of being not sure what they think and kind of wish they had the time and wherewithal to explore different spiritual experiences. And luckily, I was able to do that, and it's been a really amazing thing for me.
All right, Ken, thanks for calling. Best of luck, and great story for sure, and that spiritual journey you're under, and especially to get to hear all these other people. People definitely need to pick up the book. Thanks again for calling, Ken.
Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com. And I'm excited to welcome to the program Derek and Taylor from The Bachelor in Paradise. Derek and Taylor, thanks for calling. How are you?
Good morning, Neil. Great.
Well, fantastic. Now, first question goes to Derek. Did you think you were going to be able to get to the finalist couple? Did you think it was going to happen when you first started this journey on The Bachelor in Paradise?
In Paradise, I was pretty sure I was going to go home on day 2. I drank a little too much on the first night, and I was not expecting anyone to forgive me. So.
But he was really sweet about it. The next day, he went around and apologized to all the girls, and was very apologetic for having one too many.
So thankful to be here now.
How about you, Taylor? What did you think? Did you think you would get as far as you're right now?
No, I thought I was ready to leave at any moment as soon as I felt like there was going to be any drama, or I felt like if there wasn't anyone there for me.
She was worried that the Corinne thing was going to happen again. And so.
Yeah, so I was like, that's not why I'm here. If there isn't someone I'm interested in or that's interested in me back, then, I'll leave. I don't need to be here. So thankfully, by the first rose ceremony, Derek and I had sparked a connection. Otherwise, I probably would have left.
Now, Derek, what did you learn from The Bachelorette to now to kind of understand and try to find love in certain ways from the first time to now, and how you accept the drinking problem?
Yeah, right. The funny thing is I don't really drink that much, so that's really what it was.
It was very apparent that he didn't drink very much.
Yeah, I wasn't used to that, But, the biggest thing for me was the first time around I was so nervous to be on camera and, so worried about how to handle myself and how is this going to happen. And so this time around it's just, a lot more comfortable and way more fun because
it's a lot more of a relaxed environment.
Yeah, we're just hanging out on the beach versus, being stuck in hotel rooms with the same people. The first time, it's a bunch of guys who are basically trying to beat each other up and cavemen drag the girl back to their cave.
God.
And so this was more like a bunch of friends on the beach, which was way more fun.
And I'm sure the same thing for you, Taylor, from The Bachelor season 21 and the issue with Nick to now. What do you think you're doing differently, especially this to find Derek on this show and seeing how you need to kind of interact in a way. Same thing on camera at first from doing the Bachelor. Things have been different in this way. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely learned a lot about myself from doing Bachelor. A lot of very tough but important life lessons, I think. I'd say almost kind of the opposite of Derek, just in that going on Bachelor, the cameras didn't really bother me. I was very uncensored and unfiltered, and going into Paradise, I was a lot more tentative with the things I said and was a lot more scared and filtered. But when it came to, cultivating that connection, I was like very open-minded to that. And Derek wasn't someone that I went in like wanting to meet at all. In fact, it was the opposite. I kind of wanted to avoid him. But just staying open-minded to having that possible connection with anyone, I think helped.
So Taylor, why Derek? What you said that wasn't the kind of person you were looking for when you got on the show.
Neil, come on.
Just, he wasn't, there was like things with a mutual friend, and he just wasn't someone that like I was expecting to even like or be attracted to, and then, I was kind of slightly mean to him at first. He was trying to play volleyball with me, and I was like, can I get a different teammate? Like, I don't want you on my team. But once we first started talking, we were literally in a cabana for like 3 hours talking, and that was so refreshing compared to the conversations I had been having with everyone else. So it just really made him stand out. And then from that conversation, it was just a lot of talking that we did.
Yeah.
Derek, do you think that's an important part of really getting to connect with a woman is talking to them to see if you have similar interests in certain paths and ideas? You think that's an important part of it?
Well, it's boring to say, but I'm very interested in like strong, in smart women. So that's like was my test is like, is she gonna throw some BS back at me when I make some sarcastic jokes? Which, as we know, she was like, can I get a different partner for volleyball? So she right there, I already knew that she was like a tough cookie. Mm-hmm. And then, she's just very indulgent, and that's super sexy to me. So that was the important thing that, happened through our conversations that I saw very quickly.
And I think, like, communication is one of the
She's
most
going to tell
important
you how
things.
smart she is right now. I think that's
No. Just our style of communication has definitely been something that's been shown on the show, and I think, how you communicate with one another in a relationship is extremely important. I mean, it can make or break, whether or not you're happy or that the relationship is successful. So, I mean, thankfully, we had a lot of time in Paradise to talk and get to know each other. We're around each other constantly. So
and make out too.
Yeah, a lot of make out up until the fantasy suites, which is on Monday, where we finally stopped talking for a little bit.
And that'll be so. And I guess the talking communication for people, guys out there, if you want to pull a girl like Taylor, you have to make sure that you listen. Is Derek a good listener?
Yes.
Because that's important.
He is. No, he's an incredible listener. He's so patient. He mindfully listens to everything I say and is always very engaged.
What's that?
Always engaged in our conversations. So it makes a huge difference.
And Derek, where did you learn that? Because many guys don't listen to their women. So that's another tip out there, guys. If you listen to your woman and you listen to their needs and wants, you're going to be a happy guy, right, Derek?
Yeah, you can listen. You just don't always have to do what they want. If that was the case, I would be like, Taylor would want breakfast in bed every day. She's,
I don't already get that.
You pretty much do. No, I don't know. I my mom is is a strong figure in my life. I'm a mama's boy, so because of that, she is very. Communication is very important to her, and I think part of that comes from she was a teacher, and one of her best teacher friends always used to say, communication is the key to healthy relationships. There's your little health teacher.
It is.
be a little health teacher.
I agree.
And so that's like always been in my head.
Yeah.
Well, Derek,
Derek,
it's good to be a mama's boy because you'll find the right girl at one point, and we'll find out again if you guys are going to win. Tune in Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, ABC. But can we follow you guys social media-wise?